I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, March the 17th. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Makes me think of my old neighbor buddy in northwest Missouri. He was the most Irish person I ever knew. His name was Patrick Flannery, and his birthday was St. Patrick's Day, and I celebrated a bunch of them with him. But brought to you in part by Macrocin by Bimeda. Macrocin is a bold, straight shooting telithromycin injection that does what it's supposed to do for you, for your cattle, and most importantly for your bottom line, and no BS. For more information, go to macrocin.com. Also, Joplin Regional Stockyards in Carthage, Missouri. They're expecting about 7,500. Of course, they always underestimate. They're the only sale barn in the country that underestimates, but they'll likely have closer to 9,000 if I was guessing, as good as this market is and the way that they suck cattle in from every direction from the four-state area. But they're going to start at 6 o'clock in the morning. Be a big, good run and a good offering of all classes. They are going to have a cow and bull special coming up April the 12th, starting at 4:30. So be putting that on your schedule too. The best worst day. Now, Friday was the worst day of the year, and it was forecasted to be that in the Texas Panhandle anyway, and a lot of surrounding areas of the Southern Plains. The weather forecasters knew how bad the weather was going to be. They knew how dry it had been, and said this will be the worst day of the year, and it was. It was horrible. I mean, extremely high winds gusting up to 100 miles per hour, especially in New Mexico and Texas, but also in Oklahoma and just all over the midsection of the country. Just made it miserable for everybody. Caused semi-trucks to turn over. Some major pileups. Probably the worst was just south of my hometown, Canyon, Texas, on I-27. Did cause one death and a lot of people, a lot of destruction there. It was a lot of vehicles involved in that, and then just around on I-27 caused them to close I-27 for a time there. But it was really dangerous there. In other places, there was a lot of other mayhem there. Of course, the loss of a lot of roofs and homes and barns and a lot of fires. There were some pretty serious fires, but just wind blowing the dirt and miserable. But at the same time that was going on farther north in Nebraska and Iowa, these cattle feeders that's got leverage because they sell cattle in a negotiated manner were holding the packers' feet to the fire, and it wasn't a wildfire. It was just the fire that they had brought about as packers had tipped their hand, showing how short bought that they were, and very aggressive for cattle. And they were very aggressive all week on cattle. They came out on Monday bidding more than the high from the previous week. Well, when they do that, there's not that many cattle that are available on the show list. It kind of got bad for the packers. I hate to shed a tear for them, but they ended up having to give as much as $8 or $10 higher than just the previous week. You never see that. I don't think I've ever seen that. But these cattle, these packers were short bought. Of course, they've trimmed their slaughter down to nearly nothing, and then haven't been buying very many cattle in a negotiated manner. Still probably didn't get a whole lot of those bought this week, but they're just so close to the knife. And then all of a sudden last week, we saw a lot of orders come in. It's spring seasonal demand now, guys. And it's already been nice enough that people have gotten their grills out. I've grilled already. I don't know if you guys have too, but it's that time of the year. People are getting their grills out ready to grill, and these wholesalers and the retailers, they're all stepping up their orders for beef to put on the grills. And so all of a sudden, they don't have a lot of beef in their coolers, and they don't have much scheduled for slaughter, and they're short bought, and they need cattle, and the packers or the cattle feeders up there in Nebraska and Iowa knew that, and man, did they make them pay for those cattle. Now, the highest we saw, now that's just up to 2 o'clock on Friday. The highest we saw was 207. And I don't know how many they're going to quote higher than that, because I know the packers will do anything to try to keep those cattle feeders trying to keep from having to report what they're paying those cattle feeders for the cattle. So I don't know if these numbers will show up in the reported cattle sales late on Friday. But up through Friday at 2 o'clock, they'd only paid as high as 207. But I'm here to tell you, they paid live basis 208, 210, and even 212 in Iowa late in the day on Friday. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see whether those prices end up getting quoted. And do I think the audit review and compliance team with USDA, AMS, will do anything about it if they're not reported like they should be reported? No, I think Elon Musk should hand them their pink slips there right away. But still, it has got this market just, on fire. And now people are starting to think, well, how high is this board going to be? The board's been pretty friendly here and trying to keep up with cash. Now people are thinking that, it's possible that live cattle futures could get to $2.20 and feeder cattle futures could get to $3. It could happen, people. Whenever they make the packers give up to $10 more in 1 week, and we're going into extremely tight supplies. We're supposed to have the biggest supplies of any time near future right now. They must all be in the southern plains, because the northern plains guys tells me that they've been pulling cattle ahead all winter, and they've got really short supplies of those best cattle that they really want. So it'd be interesting to see how that goes. Of course, your feeder cattle auctions, you've always got competitive bidding there, so higher prices are liable to happen any day that the board's not much more than $3 lower. And so with the board being fairly friendly here lately, these feeder cattle prices just keep getting higher and higher. And I'm going to tell you some at the end of the report you're not going to believe. But maybe you want to try to buy some cattle kind of worth the money that you might could turn out this summer and make something on them. Well, my old buddy Ellison Carter down there in Santo, Texas, he's still order buying in as many as 50 little sale barns there in north and central Texas, and he could put you a load of cattle together. I'm going to give you some quotes on some cattle he shipped this weekend, and these are delivered prices, mostly to the Texas Panhandle, western Oklahoma, maybe up into the edge of Kansas there, but you can kind of extrapolate depending on where you're at from Santo, Texas, which is just west of Fort Worth there, around Weatherford area. But these cattle were delivered this past weekend. Got a load of little steer calves there, could be steers and bulls, averaged 360 pounds at $365 a hundred there, and that's delivered. Load of 375 pounders at $395. Set that were all black 420 pounders at $372. 465 pound steers and bulls at $345. Load weight 510 pounds at $310. A load at 550 pounds at $305. And some 630 pound cutting bulls at $299. Now on the heifer side, if you want to order these, and these are all be pretty good kind of cattle, all solid colored. Some might have a tick of ear and won't have real long hair, be shorter haired kind of cattle like they sell down there, but sure good enough to go anywhere, especially going into the warmer season. Below the 300 pound little heifers cost $374 delivered. Load weight 360 at $357. Set weight 465 at $321. Another set at 565 at $292. Some all black 635 pound steers and bulls at $277. Load weight 650 at $272. And no, those were all heifers, the last ones I gave you, sorry about that. But some all black yearling heifers weighed 755 pounds at $258 there. EC said that the condition and health on the cattle is really good right now. So if you're not used to getting cattle in like that and you're a little nervous about them, said they look really good, shouldn't have too much trouble with them at all. Let's talk about your board for last week. How about April live cattle futures? Monday was up 30 cents, Tuesday down $1.02, Wednesday was up $1.85, Thursday up 65 cents, and Friday up $1.12, with April live cattle ending the week at 203.17. That was up 290 for the week. June ended the week at 199.35. That was up 288. March feeder cattle, Monday was up 7 cents, Tuesday was up 45, Wednesday up 275, Thursday was the only down day and it was down 2 cents, and Friday up 175. With March feeder cattle ending the week at 281.97. That was up $5 smooth for the week. April ended the week at 281.20, up 305. Your grains had kind of a tough week, but maybe not as bad as a lot of us thought with all the tariff talk. But May corn ended the week at 458.5. That was down 10 3/4 cents a bushel. May beans ended the week at 10.16. That was 9 cents lower. Hard red winter wheat for May ended the week at 586. That was up 21 1/4 cents a bushel. Your fat cattle trade through Thursday of last week, negotiated cash in your 5 area feeding region, there was only 1,000 head in all 5 areas. Unbelievable. And then up to 2 p.m. on Thursday, that's all we'd seen was 1,000 head. So, you know, that wasn't much, and it was all $2 live was what they brought. We had no dress price and no price spread. That was still some higher though. But on Friday, late Thursday and Friday is when we saw the trade. On Friday up through 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Iowa sold 4,200. They'd only sold 150 more than that before. Live price in Iowa on Friday, $2 to $5 higher from 202 to 207. But I told you it got much higher than that late in the day on Friday. Really interesting to see how much of that gets reported. Dress sales 320 to 330. Nebraska sold 13,900 head on Friday before 2 o'clock, and that's all they had sold all week. 205 to 207 was the price, and live basis, and 320 to 330 on a dress basis. Who would have thought we'd have got the 330? That was $10 to $15 higher dress, guys. Kansas sold 1,350 on Friday, only 2,200 for the week. Live price 202 to 204 and a half. Dress price from 320 to 325. Texas sold 700 on Friday early, and that's all they'd sold all week, with a live price of 202. It's mostly $4 higher. But like I said, in the north, I know that cattle sold live basis FOB at 208, 210, and even 212 on top quality cattle in Iowa. Let's see how many of those get reported. Box beef cutout values, your weighted average on all of last week's sales of choice cuts, the weighted average price was up $5.50 at $319.57, but by the end of the week, late Friday, that was down about $1.30 at $318.27. Your weighted average on all of last week's select cut sales, spot market 307.03, that was up $3.37 compared to the previous week's weighted average. And by Friday late, that select quote was about 70 cents lower than that weighted average. Choice select spread on the weighted average was a little over $12.50, and all that based on 641 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings. Your slaughter for the week was bigger than the previous week, but it did taper off because so many of the big plants are only killing 4 days a week. Now, whether they can keep enough product out there to fill their orders, I don't know. But 587,000 estimated cattle slaughter last week. That was 9,000 more than the previous week, but still 10,000 less than the same week a year ago. And it really tails off late whenever you have no kill on Friday and a lot of major plants. And then, of course, Saturday, there's not much of anything. Talk about what else is going on. Gene Plus. That's Brangus and Ultra Blacks there. It's having a sale at Chimney Rock Cattle Company in Concord, Arkansas on March the 25th. They got 131 Brangus bulls and ultra black bulls and 140 commercial females. Gene Plus sells more Brangus and ultra black bulls into more states than any other program. The difference is in the details, guys. Don't forget about that Chimney Rock Cattle Company sale, Concord, Arkansas, March the 25th. That's a Tuesday. Talk about your feeder cattle market. Brought to you by Specialty Risk Insurance, working to protect your livelihood. Your real-time index on DVAuction ended the week at 283.26 based on a cash auction steer averaging 800 pounds. That was $8.33 higher for the week. Your latest CME cash feeder cattle index was 282.72, and that gained 895 last week. So big gains on your cash indexes, and your March feeder cattle here, as long as they last here, are really going to have to stay with that. So we should see good gains on our futures markets there. Your cash feeder trends in your sale barns last week. Feeder cattle going right into the feedlot sold $5 to $10 higher. Calves and stockers were $10 to $20 higher, with instances of $25 higher on those turnout cattle that really have the good condition. I want to tell you about a sale barn that is back going again. Santa Teresa Livestock Auction in Santa Teresa, New Mexico, right on the border there. The inspectors are starting to get a little bit easier, and they are starting to get more cattle across. First really good sale as far as the receipts that Tato Medina Wallace, my buddy down there, has been able to have, and I'm glad that he's back in business. I'll tell you what, that was tough on him being closed there for several months, but 1,330 head on Friday in Santa Teresa. They were your NationalBeefWire stick-out sale of the day. Check out these best tested weights on this automated market report through Cattle Market Central. Tato sold 236 head of 5-weight steers. They averaged 543 pounds, all Mexican origin, with a weighted average price of $350,375. That's pretty darn good. 247 head of 6-weight steers averaged 652 at 291.56. And 203 head of 7 weights averaged 749 at 264.44. And all the heifers that they sell are spayed heifers. That's all they'll let them cross there. 95 head of them in the 5-weight category averaged 576 with a weighted average price of 298.92. There were 85 6-weight heifers averaged 647, 272.27. 134 head of 7-weight heifers averaged 7 1/4 at 256.40, and 83 spayed heifers averaged 825 pounds, 251.39. Goes to show some of those cattle that didn't get to cross, they were putting weight on down on the other side of the border before they come across. Not a lot of peewees there. Look at some individual quotes from all around. How about my friend Rich Robertson from Crawford, Nebraska, Crawford Livestock Market there. He had a big string of steers he give me the heads up on Friday. 280 steers weighed 1,008 pounds, one swag of them, guys, and they bring 260, 250. Whoa. Figure that in your head pretty easy. That's higher than what we've been seeing forever. How about Fort Pierre Livestock Auction in Fort Pierre, South Dakota? They sell 57 steer calves, weighed 506 pounds at 417. My friends up there at Winter Livestock in Winter, South Dakota, they sell 81 steers, weighed 783 at 305. And that's a weight we're not sure whether it would go back to grazing or go to feed, weighing 783. There's going to be a lot of 800-pound cattle go to grass, guys. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere late last week or over the weekend, and your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Erickson Spalding Livestock Market in Erickson, Nebraska. That was on Saturday. They sell 6 loads of the Shoemaker cattle. They were home-raised Charolais cross. 6 loads of them weigh 875 at 290. And that's your feeder flash for Monday.